Welcome, guys, gals, and other pals, to another fine edition of the Final Credits, and this time we are doing our review of Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. At least in our time period last weekend, and we did put out our initial reactions. We've had a little bit of time to simmer a little bit now, and I'm still disappointed. It wasn't terrible, because there's been worse. But I'm still disappointed, honestly. Guys, we've had a little bit of time. Well, what do you think?
So just so we preface this, it's spoiler free, so don't worry about it. We're not spoiling anything. But I will tell you this much. I know if you saw our short, I said it was meh. I still kind of stand by it, but at the same time, I'm kind of putting it in my top 3 of all the Transformers movies. Michael Bay, Bumblebee, and this one included. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was a lot better than expected. But I think we also expected more because we thought Bumblebee was going to be such a great thing, which it was. And then we thought this would follow suit, but it was okay.
Yeah, no, so I mean, in my first impression, I said that I pretty much agree with you, Spade, that I think, too, that this is probably my top 3. Not better than Bumblebee, definitely not better than the first Transformers movie, definitely better than the second one. I didn't see the Mark Wahlberg films, but those are clearly the low points of this whole series, so I don't think we need to worry about those. But I think that's, I mean, on one hand, you got like the Bumblebee movie where you had high expectations because of that movie. But at the same time, I feel like, a lot of people have low expectations just from the Mark Wahlberg movies. So the bar is set really low from those. How many of those do we have? Like two movies he made?
2.
4 and 5? Yeah.
Yep.
And then we went to Bumblebee, and now here we are. Yeah, I thought it was entertaining. I had a good time for the most part watching this movie. The biggest weak point, in my opinion, was that it just at times, especially in the third act and final fight, it just felt too much like a Marvel movie. I felt like I was watching Endgame or something like that with that gray rocky backdrop and all the stuff happening at once, and you had these crazy money shot visuals of all the Transformers and the Beast fighting with the enemy and everything like that. It just felt a little bit too. And then of course, I mean, we'll get into this a little bit later, but the human element of this movie, and I feel like they try to address how separate humans and Transformers are from all the other movies, and try to address that by giving him a power in this movie to help have him be in the fight as well. And that was like I said, we'll get into it later, but that also honed in on that Marvel feeling too much too. So yeah, in my opinion, that's really where it got held back. But yeah, I'll let the rest of you get into what you thought was the weaker points of the film, because you guys are definitely the bigger fans than I am when it comes to Transformers.
Okay, so
here we go.
Contain yourself a little bit, Pancakes, but please let us know.
No spoilers, right? I know that at least.
No spoilers.
So I still stand by what I said in the short. It was very enjoyable. There was a lot of nerd out moments. There was a lot of action. But right below Grimm's hype for the movie, I was right there with the excitement. It did fall a little short for me. It was in my top 5 most anticipated movies for 2023. I still got a lot of cool moments. The human element, I know they put that in there to get the mass audience in there into the theaters to make it more relatable. But this is the 7th Transformers movie where we have that. Grimm will certainly expand on this, but it's certainly time where we have a movie where it's just the robots themselves, because they're already acting out the human emotions. Yeah. But the stuff with the Maximals, I wish got more focus. I feel like the scene stealer for me was Optimus Primal, and Ron Perlman did a hell of a job with the voice on that. I like how with Optimus Prime, he definitely seemed more gullible here. felt more emotional instead of that noble leader that we've seen in the past movies, the past cartoons.
I like
But
that though. Can we talk about that for a hot second? I actually
Yes, we
enjoyed
can.
that part of Optimus Prime because he was definitely, like you said, he was younger, he was more inexperienced, he was making mistakes, and you felt like you couldn't fully
Younger.
trust him. Young, well, yeah, I mean, he's,
Yes.
he's a living being, and this is in the past. He's technically younger, but
Mhm.
like you felt like you couldn't trust him even when he gave like his his usual standout
Orders.
speech about like speech and like we're gonna get the bad guys and we're gonna do this together and all this stuff. A small part of you still didn't know if he was going to be able to achieve that or not, because like we saw a few times in the movie where he did indeed make a mistake or fell short, and the human character would point it out to him and he would call him out and he would actually agree with him and say like, yeah, you know what, Optimus Prime, it was not perfect this time around. So I actually thought that was a strong point in the movie, in my opinion at least.
Grim, take it away.
I'm going to agree with this. This is actually something new that I really did enjoy because, for the most part, if we're not dealing with like the Optimus Prime that we all know and love, then we're dealing with Orion Pax, which is like the predecessor to Optimus Prime. So we're not getting like we've really only seen in a couple of media representations of early Optimus Prime, and we haven't seen him be the young guy who has messed up, who is in the learning process. But I did like the nice mirror that we got from, a future version versus their past version, which I thought actually did work out really well. But
character growth wins every time. I mean, when you add extra dimensions to the characters, it's always going to work out.
Here's the thing, though. So, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to shift focus for a little bit. I'm actually glad that I'm happy that three of us, I'd like to hope we're all in agreement on this, but I'm glad that three of us do believe that the human element in this movie was probably the weakest point of it. Because I understand, yes, you do need to have a little bit of human element in the Transformers universe, but they just went so bad with this. This is actually reminiscent to the Mark Wahlberg versions of the Transformers movies with the bad human element with this. This is like way too focused on one character that really wasn't necessary. Like, I picture this right now. Picture the movie that we just saw without the male lead. Everything would have happened exactly as it was. And you literally could have passed along with the female lead. I'll be honest, she did more work than the male. I actually connected more with her than the guy.
She was very good. I thought she was good.
I thought she was great.
Yeah, she's actually, I know her from a Samuel L. Jackson show that he did on Apple TV like a year or so ago. The Dark Days of Tommy Gray. Really great show, by the way. Yeah, she was like his caretaker in that show. She was really good in that too. So yeah, no, I was glad to see her being like in a AAA like blockbuster movie. So yeah, I agree though. She could have easily been like just the only like main star of this from the human side of the cast.
There is one thing that I do feel like I do need to bring up. Pancakes actually brought this up to me a couple of days ago. We read a interview about a beloved Maximal not being in this movie. That being Rat Trap. Now, of course, this is only like one article, so it's pure speculation right now, but we got the reason why he wasn't in the movie. And that reason being, essentially, in so many words, he hit the cutting room floor. This upsets me a little bit in the sense of, so you're telling me the robot in the robot movie you didn't have enough room for. That's what you're telling me. We needed more room for the human characters and their growth than a beloved character. And at this point, I'm even like, I even said too, I'm like, you know what? Like, you could have put him in there and it would have actually helped. Let's say that, okay, fine. You can't put him in there. Cool. There are other characters in this movie that deserve to have more than 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. And they really didn't get it. But we had enough time to give the human character time to do his thing.
And Mirage.
I'm not doing
Mirage
this
had a lot of
spoiler
talk.
reviews, killing me right now. But it is what it is. It is what we got. And I'm just... Oh, boy.
Let's talk about Pete Davidson.
Sorry?
Spade, you brought up a good character point. Let's talk about Pete Davidson. I mean, Mirage.
Okay, let's talk about him. Because honestly, I think he was great. I didn't think he was going to be great. I really didn't. But all the voice actors for this nailed it. Every single one of them. Pete Davidson, I thought he was good.
I agreed with you up until you said Pete Davidson nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
See,
he was okay. At worst, he was okay. At best, he was meh. Look,
you literally just said the same thing.
Bad. He wasn't bad, but I feel they could have gotten somebody better.
They absolutely could have.
But here's the thing with Pete Davidson. According in an interview with the director, he came in and blew away everybody so much that they actually
How? Were
know.
we watching the same script being recorded?
I don't know. He blew away. I'm just the messenger here. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not saying anything.
Pancakes. No, I get it. I understand. I'm just saying, like, he blew them away. In what point?
Probably
at one
sense,
point. At what point in this movie did he blow them away? Because I feel like Pete Davidson just being Pete Davidson. I don't see him being anything different.
I really don't either. Again, the 2 biggest things I feel like that were so counterproductive to this movie was, again, the human element and the directorial specific choices. Like, you could tell that, like, okay, this was definitely a director choice to do this as opposed to doing this. And I felt like the movie greatly suffered for it.
My guess, Spade, is, and just taking a shot in the dark here, is that probably the scenes that he had with Noah that convinced the director that dialogue had to be rewritten. And apparently it was very expensive to move things around, but Davidson wowed them so much that that's what we got. What we got.
I had 2 problems with him. Is that so this is what I think you're trying to get at, Spade. Is that yes, he wasn't bad. I think he did better than we were expecting him to do. But at the end of the day, it just sounded like Pete Davidson doing his usual Pete Davidson thing, and his voice was just coming out of the screen. And I wasn't connecting it to the character I was seeing on screen. Like his voice fit the character, like that I guess he was going for, like the actions and like the behaviors of the character, but the look of Mirage just didn't fit his voice, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like somebody else could have like had a better voice for that look of Mirage, and like his mannerisms and everything like that, and have that maintained. Like, maybe like somebody like Anthony Mackie, I feel like could have like also like given that same charm, that same humor. Like somebody like that. Like I just feel like they got Pete Davidson because it's like, hey, it's Pete Davidson. Like, we could easily, like, everybody knows him. Everybody's always talking about him. Let's say that
you need a big name.
He's a robot now.
One of the big voices.
Yeah, so like I felt like he was more of like like how everybody says like in the Mario movie, like they got Chris Pratt because he's Chris Pratt, like they needed like a Hollywood name and all that.
Yeah,
this was the Chris Pratt of the Transformers movie, in my opinion.
There's a difference though. Chris Pratt did really good as Mario, while as Pete Davidson.
But that's it though. He wasn't bad, and Chris Pratt wasn't bad as Mario either. But he was definitely the weaker voice performance in the Mario movie. Just as I feel that Pete Davidson was the weaker voice performance.
I'll agree with that.
You know?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, put him next to Optimus Prime's voice actor, and it's night and day.
Well, you
Listen.
can't do that with Peter. No, you can't.
Well,
you can't
Peter-
compare them.
yeah.
That's like
Peter
comparing.
Cohen's a living legend, and 81
Yes,
years old, still
absolutely.
doing these movies. He
Yeah.
was still phenomenal.
This man, the same man who does Optimus Prime, does Eeyore.
Yeah,
Think about that. The range of that. That's what I mean.
Holy shit!
Frank Welker, who is Megatron, is also Fred in all the classic Scooby-Doo
Right.
shows. Like the range that these two actors have, like beyond compare. They're the Mel Blancs of our time. And
Right,
Mel
but
Blanc
that's because
did
they're
all
that's,
the Looney Tunes.
but that's the thing though. They're voice actors.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer. Okay. I'm
Mhm.
not saying this is always correct, but I'm a firm believer. You need to cast voice actors for situations like this, for
I agree.
animation, for animes, for live action Transformers, like things like that need voice actors. Don't
I
just
agree.
throw, fancy celebrity names from Hollywood. Like Ron Perlman, great, he's great. Not saying no, but I'm pretty sure you could have found a voice actor that would have taken the job for half the pay, and you guys still would have made money.
well, you know what?
You
No,
see what I'm
Ron
saying?
Perlman was good, and I mean, come on, he was Slade in Teen Titans, so like
Rob
he has
Perlman was
experience.
Yeah, he's
I'm not
made
saying
more of a transition now into voice acting.
Right.
So
But
you
I'm
can
just
make
saying,
the
like,
argument
you could
he is
find
more of a voice actor now.
right a real voice actor. Like that's my
Yes.
thing. But
Yeah, but that's the
I'm in the
same
minority in
argument.
that.
That's the same debate that happened during the Mario movie about Chris Pratt, because and people
Right.
were like protesting his inclusion, and
Right.
including other voice actors were protesting his inclusion, like Tara Strong. Even she made like a subtle tweet saying like it should have been Charles Martinet, like the video game voice actor. It's like, and they had that whole discussion like voice actors, professional voice actors should be, even if they're lesser known, like they should be the ones casted in the movies.
They should be
And-
more prominent in like more prominent roles.
And then
Right.
I'm directing this at Grand, and Gary Chaw should have been Optimus Primal, and then Scott McNeil should have been some of the voices. Of course, they were voices from the Beast Wars series.
None of his characters were in this movie, which also upset
I
me.
know.
Oh, it was. There's a lot I can talk about in a spoiler review of this, so I'm trying very hard to keep it contained in this. But
I wanted
Right
to do
now,
something fun with that. I wanted to do something fun with that though, while keeping it
Oh.
spoiler free. In one word, describe that one scene in the end of the movie.
Shocking.
Okay.
unnecessary.
What?
Unnecessary. He said unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
I loved it because I like what it's going to lead to. But I'll just say
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Just one word. That's all I wanted to say. Just one word. My one word. Well, I guess it's two words.
All
but
right,
mine
and on
was,
that
holy
note-
crap. But that's it.
Guys, honestly, that's how we feel about this. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the things down the doobly-doo. Until then, final credits,
Out.
roll out.
Roll credits. We out.
The more you know.